Hey there, it's Lynn. Day 4 of my 22 Push-Up Challenge 2.0. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you're all well. I wanted to say a few more things today about male military sexual trauma. I did a little more research and a little more reading and a lot more thinking. And what I chose to do today was I posted a couple of resources on my Facebook. One is actually a Facebook group called Men Recovering from Military Sexual Trauma. It looks to be a very active and very positive group that realizes that changes need to be made at all levels in terms of the acknowledgement and treatment of military sexual trauma, and particularly male military sexual trauma. So that resource is there. I would encourage anyone who is a survivor of male MST or knows someone who is a survivor of male MST to check that Facebook group out. It does look very good. I've also posted a second article by the author of yesterday's article that I posted. Yesterday's article was entitled, Son, Men Don't Get Raped, and it was written by Nathaniel Penn, or Nate Penn. There's another article that he wrote that's a fair amount shorter, but it is entitled Men Recovering from MST, or Survivors of MST, Where to Get Help. And Nate Penn actually lists some very good resources, explains a little bit about them, and provides the links right in the article. Some of the resources are for any victim of MST, and there are a few that actually target male MST survivors. One is an online group just called Male Survivors, where I have yet to check this out myself, but where it's kind of, I think, like a chat room. You would be able to go on. I think you may be able to go on anonymously. As I said, I haven't checked. You may want to check that out. And basically get peer-to-peer support, speak with peers that have gone through male military sexual trauma. Now, that may be a good place to start for someone who really doesn't feel they have resources or anyone they can trust, that they could even just talk a little bit to about how they're feeling, or about the fact that they went through some experiences they're not comfortable talking about. Another resource is Protect Our Defenders. That resource provides assistance not just to veterans who've gone through MST, but also to their families, which is a really important part of the puzzle as well. Families are often... Hello, Iris. Goodbye, Iris. Sorry. Families are often on the blind side of dealing with issues that combat veterans go through when they return home after being deployed to a combat theater. And especially in terms of MST and male MST, often I think families are stuck on that blind side. And it's because the victims or their loved ones who've come home from combat maybe don't feel they can talk about their experience with MST, or they're afraid to talk about it. And I think that because it is, while it's a big problem, acknowledgement has been a very difficult thing. Families often maybe don't even realize that could be an issue their loved one is going through. So there's a good resource, Protect Our Defenders. There's also a resource called the National Veterans Legal Services Program. And that program helps all vets, but they also particularly provide free legal assistance to vets who are diagnosed with PTSD related to MST, but are being denied treatment from the VA. This site, this organization is basically run by lawyers doing pro bono work, and so is definitely worth looking into if you are seeking treatment and having difficulty with treatment because you've got a PTSD diagnosis related to an event that the military is not acknowledging, or something else that had happened to you while you were in the military that has gotten lumped into something from your past prior to the military, which is how the military avoids having to pay for certain treatments. So yeah, there are a few really good resources, it seems to me, worth checking out, and I would encourage anyone to have a look at them. I'd also like to say to the male survivors of MST, a really important thing, the very first thing that I would like you to realize, and I would bet that I would not find disagreement, and that is, number one, that what happened to you is not your fault. It is absolutely not your fault. There is nothing you did that made it happen. People who assault other people, and particularly assault them sexually, it is about their own power issues, their own need for dominance, and perhaps a lot of other things that have nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. So please remember, I would like your first thought to be, this was not my fault. Someone did this to me. I did not invite this, regardless of the situation, regardless of how much you had to drink, regardless of whether or not you met with someone in an isolated location. You did not cause the sexual assault that you incurred. I would also like you to know that finding safe spaces, as I've mentioned in an earlier video, may be extremely difficult. Recognizing safe spaces and safe people is extremely difficult after a person has been traumatized, sexually or otherwise, but particularly sexually. And so how to find your safe spaces, what I would suggest to you is think about the people you have trusted through your life. The people who know you and who you believe respect you. And that is where I would start in terms of looking for safe spaces. And thirdly, I also want to point out that just tucking something like this away usually does not help. If it helps, it's a very rare occasion that it does. So even if you've decided, I'm going to put this away, I'm just going to move forward in my life, I'm going to throw myself into my career, I'm going to be the best at everything I do, and you make every effort for that, you will have lots of successes, but you will still be affected. You are still affected by this event that happened to you, that someone did to you. So it's really important to, even if you can't talk about what happened to you, to find, even if it's just one person, one space, where you can go and feel like you are safe, and you can relax even just a bit, be yourself and not feel threatened. So if you never talk about what happened to you, but you do find spaces, or even a space that gives you that, that is extremely important, and that will help you in the ways that you choose to deal with your assault. So that's what I've got to say today about male MST. I think tomorrow I'll probably wrap up MST for now. I may talk a little bit about MST in general. I'll see what other resources I can find. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, please have a look at what I've posted on Facebook. My posts are public posts, and they've got some really good information and potentially very helpful sites, both in terms of free legal assistance, therapy resources, not just for our veterans who are facing MST, but for their families. And again, there are a few links that are male-centered only, which may be quite helpful. Okay. So I'm going to do my push-ups now. I'm going to try to do a better job today. It's a very small space. See if I can do all 22 in a row. Hopefully Iris will not interrupt me. And let's see what happens now. Okay. Okay. Oh, I think that was 22. I will double check as always, make up any push-ups I miss. Thank you everyone for your support. Thank you for watching and sharing, and most of all, really, thank you for keeping this conversation going. And remember, sexual assault is real. MST is real. And sexual assault is not ever the victim's fault. Thanks. See you tomorrow.